just a little bit.
Missed it.
Just a little bit.
A little off.
I was super excited.
The free throw line, just a little bit off.
I was super excited. I got some new tech. I feel like I'm prepared for the second season. And then I had a good one. The first 2 weeks were good. But,
you messed up the flow. You're over-teching it here.
5%.
Sometimes the best tech is low tech.
Set on a Zoom call to record a podcast about fantasy basketball.
Correct. But here on the show for our millions of fans.
Yes. We are now on episode 3, but technically still episode 0 for season 2 of Tuesdays with Drake. Since we haven't actually today is
opening night.
It's opening night
right now. I'm
opening
looking at
night.
the score, and 3 minutes into the game, Curry has 3, 2, 2, and a steal. We're off to a great start.
Get it. The Bucks have cemented their dreams by beating the Nets, which I appreciate. And yeah, it'll be a good season. I'm excited tomorrow for our in-person actual kickoff of the season for real people time. And I know, yes, unfortunately, you can't be there, which does make everybody sad. It's sad.
I don't think.
But I'm not gonna go there, so just know that it does. Anyway, I'm excited for the league. We're back to normal-ish. There might still be some lingering COVID impacts, but no shortened schedule this season. So I think that's the biggest change is we have to go back to actually caring about roster setting. So I will ask, did you take that into account this week for your first week roster, the games played across your team?
I did, but I made some choices where I sacrificed a game here and there for a better player. I think I had 2 games of Christian Wood, and I kept him in just because he's kind of unique in his stats for what my team needs. He's my shot blocker. So if he gets 7 blocks in 2 games, 5 blocks in 2 games, that's a big deal because he's the guy who does that. I got lucky this week. Most of my stars have 3 games. So I didn't have a lot of decisions to make. Like, I'm not going to bench Curry for Dort.
No.
As much as I love to say Dort, which is the whole reason I drafted him. Honestly, I'm thinking about making some sort of Dort-related team name, like "Come along, Dort," or they're all have Dort license plates in the gift shop.
That seems appropriate. You have to keep your Simpsons convergence with basketball name together. That's important.
That is not a problem. I can do that.
I don't even know who that person is.
Precious? He was the Heat's first round pick a couple years ago. He was traded as part of the Lowry deal, and he's been getting 15 and 13 every night in the preseason.
Sleeper pick.
Well, I picked him up after the draft just because their whole front line is injured. So I'll probably play him for 1, maybe 2 weeks until like Boucher and Siakam come back, and then he'll be just kind of relegated to the bench.
Will he become an actual bench player at that point?
I think he will play. He was kind of the young centerpiece of the Lowry deal. Like, he was clearly the young guy that they wanted. So,
gotcha.
I'm
mostly asking for intelligence for who I need to pick up in a couple of weeks.
Yes, when you need to drop him. When I drop him and you get him.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so I know you agonized a little bit and made a couple plays for games played over maybe talent. So tell me about that.
I definitely did, and I probably could have done more, but I did make one. I started Jalen Green. I feel like this probably isn't controversial outside
That's
of
really
me
not that controversial
in our league. Yeah, for Norman Powell, which I'll probably end up doing all season if Jalen Green turns out to be a monster.
He's going to be a 20-point per game scorer. He's going to do things. He may not do it super efficiently because he's young, but he's already like one of the guys on that team.
Yeah. So that might just become what I do. So that's probably the right move anyway. But
Yeah.
because they're actually pretty, like if you look at their expected and just even their typical stats, like they're actually pretty close. Those two, it's all about just efficiency difference. So I think that's a place where you definitely always make that game trade, right? Like if you there's gonna be a few times where that doesn't make sense, but here it's like, yeah, make the trade. I will say
you're not gonna bench Ayton for Tice anytime soon.
no. I will say I broke down just for research for the podcast. I spent whatever little amount of money for the Yahoo Fantasy Premium.
Oh, you're going
whatever
cheat code.
It's actually pretty. I have to say. Here's why. I'll show. Here's why it's actually pretty great. So you can it's just a nice comparison screen. So if I want to say, look at Norman Powell to Jalen Green, and then I can pick like next 7 days projected. It actually does essentially this. You can do a more very distinct trade of like over the next 7 days with their games expected. What are their stats going to be? That's pretty nice. It's convenient. I don't have to do the math myself.
Trying to buy the league, I see.
It's research. It's research for the show.
It's paid
research for the show.
No, it's not. You're trying to buy the league. Don't lie.
I do appreciate that
you can't buy greatness, my friend. Greatness is earned.
I mean, I do believe I remember I did win the league last season. So, I think I earned it already.
Flukes happen. I know you're doing everything to give yourself an advantage because you're having a bit of a crisis of confidence this year. Is that right?
I am having a crisis of confidence. I basically in the last week have decided that I drafted completely wrong and I'm going to lose every game. That's pretty much where my mental attitude is at the moment. Mostly what really did it was this Ayton contract insanity, which like drove me down the rabbit hole of like, I definitely bought Ayton on the upside. And if he is going to be embroiled in like contract insanity, that is going to ruin that. So I am now pretty worried about my team.
You've got fantasy basketball neuroses going on here.
I have a lot to live up to because I did again win the league last season. So I feel like I have to, keep a high bar here.
Yes. I'm sure you'll remind us plenty of times about this fact. It's cool. You beat my like one-legged, one-handed, head half chopped off team by the end of the season.
Yeah. Well, didn't I? When you were in the semis, I beat Jason. I thought for the final.
Oh, I don't even remember now.
Yeah, I beat you in the semis.
My team died in the like final 2 weeks of the season, and I think I started myself at point guard. My number.
I did have the only healthy team at the end of the season, which is why
I hit a couple of threes, but my efficiency was very low. Here's the flip side of your Ayton dilemma. And it's hard to tell how someone will react to something like this, but maybe he gets super pissed and just throws an FU season at Phoenix and says, "Oh, you're gonna pay me because I'm a monster," and goes nuts and uses it as like a chip on his shoulder.
I love that. I think that would be great. I do actually think legitimately that is more likely because he's going to make him pay because he's in restricted free agency after the season, and he is going to get an offer sheet at a max.
He's getting maxed by someone.
And so
it's them, and I can't assume that if someone throws a max offer sheet at him, they wouldn't match. That would be just fire everyone immediately, burn the whole franchise down, and move it to Seattle.
They could do that anyway. Yeah. Is a max rookie extension more money? Like, so yes. Does he get the same money? Does he get more or less money if he gets a max extension now, or if he was forced to wait until restricted free agency and the Suns matched or plus matched a max offer sheet?
If they offer sheet, I believe they can pay him more than anybody else.
Yes, so I know that.
The offer sheet would be less than his potential max with the Suns. So it'd be a really good way to screw him out of some cash and engender some terrible will amongst future free agents.
You think if he go?
for a team that's trying to win a championship right now and has basically thrown the bag at everybody else on the team. It makes no sense. No sense at all.
Do you think that's like a mad, hardcore gambit of like, you got to keep Paul around, you got to keep Bridges around, you know you can like eke a year out of Ayton? Is this like a crazy ass gambit to like win
1
this
year
year?
window?
Like literally this year, and then screw it.
That just seems so dumb, because why would you do that with your youngest guy? Like, if you want to do that, if you wanted to just say fuck it and sign Paul for 1 year and then give everybody else money, like Ayton is 21, 22?
Yeah,
like,
something.
That dude is amazing already. And bigs are not good at 21 or 22. Like, they just aren't. And he is. And he's good in all the ways you want him to be good. He's not like, I mean, I love Towns as a fantasy guy, but he's not like out here jacking a bunch of threes and like stealing rebounds from his teammates and not playing any defense. He's like being a, grizzled down low, like, I'm going to go guard Giannis for 6 games and he's going to beat the crap out of me, but I'm going to do it better than anybody else did. And completely embrace that role of defense man, even though he could go anywhere and get 25 and 10 at any time.
Yeah, I think that's a good take of, especially of the like, he could go to many teams right now and be the man.
Right. and probably do really well at it and do winning things and win games that way. But he says, he even said it, like, he came into the league with a bad rep on defense, and he started bad on defense. But when he came in, he like said to himself, I'm going to be like the best defensive big in the league. And he went about and tried to do that. And he did that. He's one of the best defensive bigs in the league now. And he has maybe one of those iconic moments in playoff history under his belt already, the Valley Oop, which is such a good name. And like, he's still a baby. How, like, pay the man? I don't know. I'm really angry about this.
It is dumb. I do like the self-realized growth. I feel like people can grow, but I mean, like, it doesn't matter what activity, sport, business, like job, but like it is a particular self-motivation to be like, I'm gonna go do this thing.
Right.
And then you go do that thing. Like that's plus points.
And you never see that out of a 21-year-old, 22-year-old number 1 overall pick who has always been the man. Like, that happens when they're in like their mid 30s and they're like trying to hang on and stay in the league, or hang on as a good player and not be like relegated to the bench or something. Like when Jason Kidd learned how to shoot, he didn't learn how to shoot when he was 25. He learned how to shoot when he was 35, because that was how he had to do to stay like relevant in the league. Whereas Ayton is so self-aware at such a young age that he realized like the things he did were not winning things. So he went and learned how to do winning things. And now he can do literally everything, which is why I approve of your pick, because I don't know about fantasy wise, but like as a person, he's one of my favorite people. Like, I don't know if he's going to do like 28, 12 and 5 every night, but
he's not that player. He's also,
but he'll shoot 70% and you will feel happy for him every time he does. So at least.
All right. Well, thank you for that confidence, if only for the intangibles of picking the right player.
Doing it the right way.
All right. So on that. All right. So I've shared my personal sadness and anxiety. So who's going to win the league? Who do you got?
Well, we can't choose ourselves, right?
I mean, I am not.
I'm not going to choose myself just because it's a ridiculous cocky thing to do. There's 3 teams I really like outside of you and I, because it makes no point for us to just analyze each other all day. I think, unfortunately, Gator Low-Key Joe is going to do really well, if only because he is a maniac who will do every single transaction allowed to him and spend at least 100 times more amount of time than anyone else in this league on his team. That in and of itself probably guarantees you a playoff spot. And he drafted well. He's got a good team. They are vulnerable to injury, which when you only have a couple games a week, that's tough.
Who's that? I have never
That
heard of this
is-
person.
That's Alperin Sengun. He was the Rockets' second round pick this year, who absolutely slayed everyone in the summer league.
Oh,
He was one of the best summer league players out there. He has this weird ritual where when he shoots free throws, he talks to the ball and like tells it to go in.
yes, awesome.
So he's wacky too, and you can root for him. So that's a good pickup there. So I like that one. Another team I like is all ball, no net, or one ball, all net. I don't remember what the name is. Something about balls and nets.
Before you talk about the nets and balls, I do want to poke on the transaction count. I do think it would be interesting because of a smaller league this year. Like it'll be both. There's gonna be a lot more people out there, but also like you're gonna have to be giving up some good people to like pick up waiver wires this year. I'm already struggling of like I don't want to get rid of anybody, but like I think there's like upside guys out there. It's like you really have to be convicted this season with 10 teams and everybody mostly healthy on the waivers. It's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna be a lot more management this year of both the schedule and the waiver wire, which will be good.
Which will benefit the maniacs among us. You and myself and Joe and others. But going to that point, one thing that I at least on this, it's not like, okay, 4 of your people got hurt, now you're dead. Like, and that's kind of what it was like in the bigger league. Like if your people got hurt, it was just scrubs. Like maybe you go find a guy who was hot in one category and hope that it would pick you up a category. But like you weren't finding too many useful players on the waiver anytime after like the middle of the season. And so like when it came playoff time for me, like I struggled. Like I said, my team totally died. Like I lost, I think 5 of my starters, 5 of my regular starters, either to injury or like Cantor was one who lost his job basically because Nurk came back. And I looked around and it was just like, there's nobody here. There's nothing to do. Like, I just have to accept that I'm going to get destroyed because my whole team died. So
well, and there's so much COVID.
Yeah.
There's so much COVID, and then like there's so many like teams that shut it down at the end of last season too. It was just like, which random scrub bench player should I play who's like getting hot stats because he's playing 30 minutes a game instead of
even
2.
though he sucks. Yeah, it's gonna, so having more options out there will be helpful in that regard. So next team, one ball, all net. They do have a ball, Alonzo Ball, which I'm sure I know you were very disappointed in. I was very disappointed that I lost out on Draymond to this person, even though because I'm apparently a Warriors fan now. I don't know what happened to me. I've clearly lost everything that I am. So that's cool. We can talk about that crisis of identity offline. And then they have Drew and Giannis, who are both great players at the Buck stack. But it seems like Drew was already hurt, so that's not great. I think he hurt a shoulder early in the game. So hopefully that's nothing, and he's fine.
Looks like the MRI of the heel contusion is clean.
Oh, heel, not shoulder. Yeah, heel is always scary, though. That's when you start talking Achilles and stuff. Ugh,
this team, I agree, could be very good. Giannis obviously huge, but the center stacking here is quite substantial. Like
yes, including 2021 All-Star Julius Randle, which is another one I was disappointed to lose out on.
Yeah, that was a good pick. Although Nurk, it's kind of dependent on Nurk because like last season he disappointed me. And I am curious how like Draymond, he's so old, and like I wonder how like we said it for seasons, like his production, when is it gonna fall off? That'll be the X factor for this team for sure.
Yeah, I mean he'll still, his game has never been about athleticism, so like even as he ages, he'll still be good. Question is, how much crankier is he going to get every season, and how many ejections is he going to put up and cost her that category every single week?
That is true.
And there's always LeBron's rest factor. That's always scary. Like, is he going to play 70 games, 65, 60, 50, or is he going to be like, I'm going to play all the games because that's what he wants to do? But who knows?
I definitely apart from my strategy from last season, I definitely avoided or tried to avoid dudes who are gonna very obviously not play a lot of games. I definitely passed on even Giannis. Giannis scares me because I think he's gonna be reserved and was already hurt last season.
He'll be fine. They just they play him limited minutes is what they do with him.
True.
Fair. He doesn't really miss games, but he'll only play 31 minutes a night.
Only.
He can still get 30 and 15 and 5 assists and a bunch of steals and blocks in his 31 minutes.
Literally.
Wow. I pulled that right out of my head. I did not look at that, I swear. But that's what he plays. He plays 31 minutes, 32, maybe 34 against a good team. But that was always one of the knocks on them in the playoffs is that Bud wouldn't play him 40, 45 minutes in a big playoff game. And you kind of saw that in the Nets series when he got super gassed because he was playing 40 plus minutes a night for the first time in his life. And so he didn't quite have that level of cardio, which is crazy considering how good he is and how good of an athlete he is. Anyway, I digress. Like that team, like her opponent, where's my sandwich? Always a fan of sandwich teams. Also took advantage of the center stack.
Oh man, more, not just the center stack. I mean, he's running 6 of them.
Yeah,
this is a true
team full of large men.
This is the Houston Rockets, the James Harden Houston Rockets of our fantasy
flipped
league.
On its head.
Yes, this is the extent. This is the complete, the end of the extension of the line of the tightly focused strategy for this league. I'm very excited to see if this works out or not because
I'm going to recommend to him that he change his name to Big Men Bump and Neat. That should be his team name this year. But of the non-larges, LaMelo, CJ, Conley, all solid. LaMelo's probably going to get some triple doubles. CJ will do CJ things, score a lot of points, hit a lot of threes, get some assists. Conley's kind of a wild card because he's another one of those guys who gets hurt, but solid team there. And I think an extension of that is Big Stack, who also did the center stack, hence the name Big Stack. Also a poker reference because he is quite a ballsy player in our home game around here. And it's for whatever reason paid off a lot. But he did keep Zion in his lineup, so I don't know if he's paying enough attention.
Not a good sign.
It's a wild card. You never know. You gotta set that lineup.
I would say though, what's interesting about this and Sandwich is their centers are Jokic notwithstanding, who he's playing at power forward, which is an absolute atrocity of categorization that is just unconscionable that he's listed as a power forward at all. But outside of Jokic, these are very no, never mind. This is wrong. So he's actually got a good set of dynamic centers. He's got Vooch, he's got Jokic.
They do different things. It's not all just guys hanging out by the hoop.
Sandwich though, it is not. It's Sandwich is Stewart, Gobert, Drummond, Mitchell.
Bam and Valanciunas can both go outside and do some stuff.
Curious if he's going to be good this season with the move and that team's a total wild card to me. The Pelicans.
It's a weird team. I don't know. Everyone every year says they're going to be great, and then they never are because they are a hot mess for whatever reason.
I think this season especially, they're going to be a super hot mess. Who's even starting on this team?
Him, Zion. I don't know who plays point guard for them. Ingram, obviously.
Devontae.
Okay.
Devontae Graham.
He'll do well. He'll hit threes and get assists.
That is a weird team.
They're all good players on paper. It's just a bunch of puzzle pieces that don't seem to work together, and that's not great.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what about you? You got any takes? I basically covered the whole league, so if
you did, I don't know what else to say.
I think it speaks to what we said that there's a lot of parity because of lesser teams in the league.
I don't think he's going to win because I fully believe that this can't win in our league.
Contrarian team.
the ultimate contrarian team, because they auto drafted for unfortunate reasons, is Poop Madness this season, who is like totally, and because they auto drafted in our league, has the anti-trick pick across the board. So, but he is going to get 1,000 triple doubles because he has Doncic and
which
Westbrook.
Of course means a lot of rebounds and assists.
Yes. So this could work because they're all solid, like healthy. Well, maybe not. Mostly healthy players that I think are going to play, like Trey, Beal, Doncic. All those guys are playing a lot of games. Like Ingram, big player. He's going to be like the guy there outside of Zion. Hayward, criminally underrated typically, especially in our league because he just fills the stat sheet every game.
Yeah,
Horford's a bad pick.
25-5 all over the place.
He does really need to go pick up a center because he has two and one is hurt. So he needs.
Olynyk was a monster down the stretch last year, so maybe he can parlay that going forward.
Is he starting or is he playing sixth behind Isaiah and some of the other people? Let's see.
He can play the 4 though, like because he can space.
Yeah, so he is a sixth man situation.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need much time. I mean, he was sixth man last year too.
So if he can, I mean, he's basically just tossing rebounds anyway already. But like, if he could get a reasonable center or somebody that scores, that's super interesting. I'll be curious. We will track his performance throughout the season.
If I had to guess, points, assists, triple doubles, threes will all be pretty good for him. General rebounds will be decent. Offensive rebounds, probably not. Big man stats, probably not. So field goal, like definitely not going to win field goal percentage ever between Doncic, Beal, and Westbrook. All very low percentage shooters. So
he'll win probably free throw percent. He'll be fine on free throw percentage. But yeah, he's never going to win field goal percentage.
Doncic and Westbrook are not the best at that. So and although Beal is really good, so he'll balance some of that out.
What do they average?
75.
Oh wow, 75. Oh.
Yeah, and Westbrook's only 70. So like they're gonna, and those are your heaviest shooters for sure.
So yeah, 600 attempts, 470 attempts. Oh man.
409 out of Ingram though at 86%. That's pretty good.
Well, Trey 700.
That's right, Trey. But they took away all of Trey's weapons with the new officiating. So he's not going to get as many free throws this year because they're almost entirely Trey and Harden rules.
I think that's a great segue because I think we've covered the league. I think it's going to be super parity. I think it's actually going to come down a lot to actual management this year and who's like watching the waiver wire at the end of the day.
And health, of course, always.
And health, always health. But so proper NBA. We didn't talk about this before in preparation, but great point. Who is going to have the biggest drop off in stats because of they're actually going to call the rules correctly this season about all this nonsense? Or will they stop trying to do that and go back to what they did last season?
I kind of just think they're just gonna abandon it after a week because that's what they do. I think if it affected anyone the most, it would probably affect Trey the most because he's developed the run around the screen, go into the middle of the lane, stop, let the guy run into him, fall over while he's doing a floater. That's like his signature move. It will hurt Harden, of course, because he plays the refs a lot, but he doesn't have to. And it kind of seems like he didn't do that as much last season in Brooklyn because he played like more real basketball and played like more of a traditional point guard. So I think he might be going away from it, especially because he's getting up there and probably doesn't want to keep falling over. Because playing that style, it requires you to fall over a lot.
I agree on the he kind of cut it down last season because he didn't have to do it all the time to like make the bucket. He just facilitated more, which like he's more fun to watch. Like he actually is a good basketball player, obviously. But when he was doing that crap, it was annoying.
Him playing real basketball is incredibly enjoyable to watch.
Yes. Dame, I think Dame also has some problems. He got a little reliant on that stuff last season.
Dame's thing where he runs around the screen, jumps in the air, or stops and waits for the guy to run into him to shoot the three. Like, I hope they stop calling that so he doesn't shoot that because it's a bad shot and it's a dumb call. And Chris Paul is another one. He does the like up the court butt dribble, let the guy run into him, fall over. He likes to do it in the open court, which is kind of silly because like when you're on fast break, why would you like give up fast break to draw?
That one's a little different. Like the prop, like that's almost. It's 30 minutes in. I haven't made a soccer reference, but here it comes. Similar to soccer, there is a wily play where I think you're kind of like taking advantage of the space that you're in, and it's like a very similar soccer play where you have control and you use your body to like draw the foul, like, and sometimes it's a good play. So like Paul does it egregiously, like he does it at like half court. It's like ridiculous, but I feel like that there's still a valid use in that move because you're not trying to draw the shot contact typically. You're just sort of like trying to like get out of the play. Yeah. So,
I mean, when in the context of what some other people are doing, it's not the worst.
Yeah.
But it is dumb and not really a basketball play. And that's kind of what they're trying to get rid of is the not a basketball plays.
I hope they are successful because it is really it's so bad. I'm so tired of it. So that was a good one. So then, proper NBA, who do you got for the title for this season? It's gonna be a bit wide open, I think, again. But who do you got?
I like the Bucks again. I love Drew so much. He can guard literally anyone. It seems like they kind of figured it out a little bit. I hesitate to say that because Bud is not good at coaching. But it does seem like they've gotten at least like marginally better in that regard to a point where they don't die completely anytime you have to make a decision. But you never know. They could melt down at any moment. It's hard to pick against Giannis and how good he was and how just completely unstoppable he was. Brooklyn is intriguing because like they're so much deeper this year than they were. And they could kind of withstand the Kyrie loss now. And they're a little bit more like they're more of like a well-rounded basketball team with more interchangeable parts than they used to have. They can.
Who do they pick up? Maybe I missed
they
like
have
some
a bunch
pickups.
of like bench guy. I mean, like Patty, and having 1,000 centers now who all do different things, and you can play them when you need different things. Bruce Brown is a good player as a bench player. Still have Joe Harris to shoot 1,000,000 threes. Like they have a good deep team that you shouldn't be able to have as a team with those guys on it. So I think the winner is going to come down to those two. I think the Lakers could
shift into the East.
I think the Lakers could do it, but I just don't trust their health enough. I think if healthy, and if they the Westbrook thing is such a wild card too. Like who the hell knows what that's even going to be? It's just too hard to predict.
I think I agree with the Bucks take. Hard to bet against the reigning champions who didn't lose any pieces, and in fact are probably going to get some pieces back because of like long-term injuries. Hard to bet against that. I'm curious. The West is just to me like wide open. Like
it's more wide open than I can remember it ever being.
Yeah, certainly in our memory of the last 15 years.
It's more open than it's ever been since like the Kobe Shaq era. It's never been more open than it is today because like every single team has a question mark. And
like they're all pretty good too. Like the Suns are going to be
transcendently great.
Right. They're all better than most of the East, but they're not like there's no team that's dramatically better than the other. And I don't think can you even say the best team in the West right now? Like it depends on who they're playing, right? Like I don't think
it's going to be Utah. Is it going to be Phoenix? I think there's like a tier of Utah, Phoenix, and potentially healthy Lakers that are the best three. I would have put with Murray, Denver's in there, and maybe ahead of a couple of those teams.
I think Denver is the most interesting. If how they get on knowing they don't have Murray and how are they going to play and can they will MPJ take another leap and fill in the hole and they just need like a passable point guard to like play off of Porter Jr. and Jokic. or not. Like that'll be really interesting to see how they get through the season, if they can like make that work, or are they just going to be like worse? Like they're not going to be better, but like you can plan for that if you know it's not happening.
Yeah, the one thing to me that they lack is they need more defense. Like
speaking of the earlier comments about projecting and learning, we'll see if that happens with Porter Jr. and any sort of defensive capability whatsoever.
I don't doubt him, guy who's had COVID 3 times and still refuses to get vaccinated, to be the self-aware human being that Ayton is.
Brutal.
I'm sorry you decided to pick up the two like polar ends of like craziness. Like you got the perfectly safe guy who's just going to work and wants to do well, and the other guy who's like, I don't know, out on a reservation somewhere.
And then you do have the Warriors, who eventually will be healthy, and like who is gonna sell a healthy Klay Thompson and Steph Curry? Like, I mean,
Can't do it.
If
those three are available, they're gonna make noise.
And I think you're gonna have, and like this is a classic, almost like Spurs move to me. They're gonna have another whole season of minutes on all their young guys, and then like feasibly at the end of the year, have like the cannons come to town.
Well, they said when I don't remember if it was the owner or the GM who got himself fined for saying he doesn't want Simmons. He was talking about how they want to be a Spurs model where have their 3 guys and they want to draft and develop and do smart things around them. Like that is the phase of the game they're at. They've spent too much money. They can't really get a high profile free agent at this point. So like Durant's not coming through the door. Basically, they have what they have, but they have like a bunch of blue chip young guys like that. With those 3, if they're healthy and then the young guys hit, like, oh geez, that'd be trouble.
And then a good coach. So West wide open. Hard to bet on the Bucks. All right, what do you got? Most surprising thing that's going to happen this season?
Most surprising thing. Okay. I think Cleveland's going to be in the play-in.
Mark that one. 37-30.
Yep, log that. I don't know if that's that surprising or even that big of a take. I don't know. It seems like the various young guys that they have are all kind of baking well. Like they're all pretty good. None of them are stars though. Like neither Garland nor Sexton has turned into a star though. Garland is probably ready to make a leap this year. He looks really good. And I think big of an NBA fan as there is in the world. So I think he's going to rise to the top eventually. Maybe it's not this year, but I think he's going to be a star.
I like it because I think they're going to make a big trade deadline move. They got to clear out the garbage in that lineup. They got a lot of stuff to clear out there. So like if some of these guys do take a leap, I think you see them make a big splashy move at the trade deadline, clear out their stuff, and see what happens. That's a good take. I like it.
They're just a team full of players that I like. Like I like Jared Allen. I love Mobley. I like their bigs. And Sexland, greatest backcourt name of all time. How can you not root for that?
For me, most surprising thing will be when the Bulls win 58 games.
Yes. Wow, you went up 58. I thought you were talking 50 the other day.
No, that's what I'll bet. That when it's going to be the most surprising thing when they win 58.
Is when they're the 1 seed.
Yes, incorrect. They're not the best team in the East, obviously, but they're top 4 or 5, right?
All right, I'll run through the East for you. Tell me which teams they're better than.
Okay.
So, Brooklyn, Milwaukee.
No.
Boston, New York, Atlanta.
Yes. They're definitely better than Boston. I think they're better than Boston. I think they're better than New York. I think they're better than Atlanta.
I don't think they're better than Atlanta. I think that's where you fall off the cliff. I think Atlanta is the 3rd best team, and I think Boston is going to be 4th, and I think their upside is 5th.
You don't even include the Sixers in there.
No, the Sixers are a hot mess. They're dead.
I have both feelings on the Sixers. I feel they'll move past Simmons and actually just develop the team correctly and build around Embiid and actually be a better team, which they probably will.
I don't think they will. Like, what do you mean? What will they do with him?
No, I'm just making shit up.
They're never going to trade him because he's never going to get the guy behind me for him. So,
but I think they can just like actually have a real roster, right? Simmons explodes your roster, and so like they have good players already, and they just play normal basketball, right? Like
yes, but where is Simmons in this equation? Is he on a different team? Is he at home?
He's at home. It doesn't even fucking matter. Like he's just sitting on a chair somewhere that's not on the basketball court, and you just ignore him and build your team. Not like they don't have depth. I don't know. That's what Atlanta at 3, I think, is a hot take because of the aforementioned. I think Trey is going to regress because I think he's not that good, and I think the rules are really going to.
The young guys, they have so many young guys who are like Hunter and Cam Reddish. Like they both made jumps. And they weren't even available in the postseason for what they did. Those are their defenders too. Like Herter is excellent. John Collins is excellent. I know you love Capella. Like that's a really good, really deep team. And I'll tell you one thing about Nate as a coach. He may not. He's clearly a better coach than he was when he was the Portland coach. He's definitely evolved in that way. But he won regular season games. Like they won games always, even if they didn't do well in the playoffs. Like that team is going to win a lot of games just based on the fact that they have a lot of guys. So they can, if somebody gets hurt, if we're in mid-January and everybody's hurting, they could be down 4 guys and still have a starting lineup plus 2 additional good NBA players. And very few teams can say that. In fact, the team behind me, arguably has only 6 real NBA players. Like I would say Atlanta has 6 real NBA players and 4 guys are out.
That's fair. Okay, I accept this analysis. I do think that the actual Bulls starting lineup is a very well constructed starting lineup that will play very well together. They are not that deep, but if Laurie decides to still play basketball like a human and not be a pouty lame-o.
He's not on that team anymore, is he?
Did he get traded? Oh, he got traded.
They traded him to Cleveland.
That's right. I forgot about that. Too many bigs.
God, that team has so many bigs.
So many bigs. I think they're gonna be good. But if they get hurt, they're screwed. Like they can't take any injuries for sure. Especially to the big guys. Boston, I still think is gonna be a hot mess, as they always are.
I think Boston is gonna be better this year. I think Time Lord changes their equation a little bit.
Yeah, man. Miami will be interesting if they're healthy. Because I think if they haven't had, they have played so few games together as a healthy team.
That's true. I even forgot them when I was listing teams. So
yeah. So the East is quite deep, I think, as well this season. I feel like the league in general, the actual NBA, has like the parity weirdly has improved, or maybe just like there's now a sub layer of teams that just aren't even trying anymore, and like all of the talent has like creeped up into a teams who care band.
There's certainly a couple of teams who have just totally rock bottomed, and 4 or 5 players from those teams, that makes a couple more teams better.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think the lack of like any really historically great teams, like there's not 4 of the 7 best players in the league on one team now. I mean, you could argue that with Brooklyn, but Kyrie's not there. So, like, they definitely have 2 of the 5 best players in the league, but they have that and a bunch of, rotation guys. They don't have that plus, like, peak Iguodala and Sean Livingston and all those guys that had.
Barbosa. All right, last take.
Exactly.
Last take on that. This is interesting. So, there are. I think I agree. There's no like obviously generational, but will the Bucks become a dynasty and prove you wrong?
Oh, you mean like will they get all the people and like win like 5 championships?
Well, with their current team, could their current team, as it stands, could they maybe repeat and like be a dynasty?
Maybe. I think they would need a better coach to be a dynasty.
I like this take. That's a good way to end the season preview. Bud sucks, and
But he's got a ring. But he's got a ring.
He's got a ring. A lot of people got rings.
Yeah, but he does. He is one of them. So
it hurts
it's
a little bit.
validating in and of itself. A lot of great coaches with no rings. Mama got no rings.
Mama got no rings. I love that conversation. Until next week.